Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Friday, October 25th. Recapping the games from last night on Thursday. We definitely had some good ones, so excited to get into those here today. I'm Miles going solo once again, but coming up in a little bit, check out our YouTube channel. We recorded episode 85 of the Run in the Paint podcast, where we got everyone's reactions to the first game for every single team. So make sure to check that out if you want to hear Jackson, Nick, and Joey's opinions on all these teams. I know it's just been me for most of these recaps. We had Jackson on yesterday. That was super fun. Go on solo again today for a bunch of really solid games. Before we get going, looking back at the games, leave a like on the video, subscribe for more NBA content, leave a comment with your thoughts on the games from last night. We're going to get to Kings Timberwolves a little bit, the Thunder's impressive victory against the Denver Nuggets, Klay Thompson's debut in Dallas. Definitely more coming up. So leave a comment. I'm very excited to get going with you guys here. So let's get into it. Let's get into it with the close game from last night, one that just recently wrapped up. It was the Minnesota Timberwolves visiting the Sacramento Kings. The Kings, the first game of the season, with DeMar DeRozan making his Kings debut, facing off against the Timberwolves team coming off of a loss on opening night against the Lakers, one where they really didn't play that great. But this game, these two teams, it came down to the wire. It came down to the wire. It was back and forth down the stretch. But in the end, a couple of Anthony Edwards free throws with a couple seconds to go gave the Timberwolves the 117-115 victory to give the Wolves their first victory of the season. A game where really every star played pretty well. For the Timberwolves side of things, Anthony Edwards looked great, 32.7 boards, 4 assists, another high-scoring game, went 10 of 24 from the field. Another game where he takes a lot of threes, 5 of 15 from 3. I said it in the last recap video. Not completely sure how much I like of him taking that many threes, but I mean, they're falling they're falling. So that's really all you can ask for. He made 5 of 15 threes. Naz Reid had a very good bounce back game, 19 points and 13 rebounds off the bench. We're going to get to the rebounding in a little bit for the Timberwolves. But the main star of this game for Minnesota was newcomer Julius Randle, man. Julius Randle playing in his second game with the Timberwolves on Tuesday. He really didn't look that good against the Lakers. The defense was pretty rough. The effort was not at all where it really needed to be. But in this game, he looked a lot better, specifically offensively, because that was another problem that Randle had on Tuesday. Looked very passive, wasn't being aggressive looking for his shot. He was looking for his shot, and he was knocking it down. 13 for 17 from the field. He only missed 4 shots and hit 5 of his 6 three-pointers to give him 33 points on the game. And, this is the first game where both of those guys are going for the Timberwolves. And not many other players really did get it going, especially in that starting lineup. Mike Conley, only 6 points. McDaniel, 6 points. Gobert, 3 points. They're not looking for Gobert to score or anything like that. He got his 11 rebounds. But, those two guys played very well for the Timberwolves. And then Naz Reid off the bench with 19 and 13 is huge. Something that, is definitely encouraging for the Timberwolves, where you could probably guess it when me telling you the 3-point numbers for Randle and Edwards. They were firing them up. And that's a bit of a trend with all these teams here to start the season, just launching away from deep. The Timberwolves shot 20 for 50 from downtown. The Timberwolves took 53s and made 40% of them. Nickeil Alexander-Walker went 3 for 5 off the bench. Naz Reid in that 19 and 13 game made 4 of 7 threes. DiVincenzo 1 for 6. He really hasn't even been that great from downtown yet. The Timberwolves, their offensive identity, it's going to be Ant getting the ball at the top of the key, doing pick and rolls with Gobert and spraying it out to shooters, or it's going to be a Randle post up. That's really what their offense is. And you're going to get a lot of layups with the pick and rolls. Obviously, you're going to get a decent amount of threes with the looks that they're getting so far. And you're even going to get your fair share of mid-range shots with Ant Edwards and sometimes Julius Randle occasionally in the post. On the Sacramento side, this is a huge, tough loss, to begin the season. Their top 5 players all played really well. DeMar DeRozan in his Kings debut, 26 points and 8 rebounds, 12 of 14 from the free throw line. So he's already doing, DeRozan-like things there. Sabonis had 24 points and 8 boards. He was going right at Gobert and finishing. Only 1 assist, though, but that's okay. De'Aaron Fox took over the playmaking there. He had 11 assists and 15 points. Malik Monk off the bench had 17 points. And then one of the X factors for this team, Keegan Murray, an X factor, a potential breakout candidate for the Kings, started the season with 23 points and 11 rebounds and 5 threes. Nearly had the game-winning 3, too, at the buzzer, that double clutch 3. But again, just a tough one to lose. We'll get into that final minute. This was a back-and-forth game down the stretch. Golden One Center was going crazy for this first game with DeMar DeRozan, and it was just so close. Like, the Kings had a 6-point lead in the fourth quarter. That was the largest lead. Then the Timberwolves had a 6-point lead. Then it was just back and forth, back and forth. Malik Monk had an and one in the final minute, gave the Kings a 1-point lead. Then Rudy Gobert drew a foul. It was a legit foul call. I know Sabonis would love to have that defensive possession back. But with the Timberwolves down 1, Gobert hit one of the 2 free throws. So the Kings coming down the other end with like 32 seconds remaining, they went for a 2-for-1. They went to a Fox and Sabonis pick and roll very quick in the possession. Fox got a good look at a pull-up jump shot that just rimmed out. Very good look. The Timberwolves then called a timeout, or there was a weird out of bounds. It went out of bounds off of De'Aaron Fox. He tipped it out. They had to go review it. It was Timberwolves basketball. They got it from the backcourt. They gave it to Anthony Edwards against Keegan Murray, and he was dribbling for a long while. He was still at half court until like 7 seconds to go. Then he made his way to the basket and drew the foul on Sabonis with like 2.5 seconds left. Tie game. Anthony Edwards steps up perfect on both free throws to give the Wolves the lead. And then with 2.5 seconds to go, Kings take the timeout. They have it in the front court. They run a very intriguing, weird formation where everyone was at half court. DeRozan was set to inbound. When the whistle blew, when the ref gave DeRozan the ball, everyone started running. And while in that confusing, setup there for the Kings, Fox and Sabonis set screens for Monk. It looked like Monk was the primary option to get the ball, but he couldn't get it. DeRozan threw it cross-court to Keegan Murray, and Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert did a great job closing out on Murray, making him take a very tough pull-up, double-clutch, off-balance 3 at the buzzer that, again, nearly fell through, but the Timberwolves able to hold on for the victory, and that's a big one for them, coming off that tough loss against the Lakers on Tuesday. Definitely didn't want to start off 0-2 on the season, even though they're both on the road against 2 quality opponents. Definitely good to get that first victory under them. And again, with the Timberwolves duo of Edwards and Randall scoring 65 points. I mean, that was one of the main differences of the game, was those two having it going. Another key difference in this game, I think now I have the fourth quarter numbers, was the free throw shooting. Now, in this game as a whole, Sacramento shot 18 more free throws than Minnesota, 35-17 at the free throw line. But in the difference at the foul line was the Kings in the fourth quarter missed free throws. Sabonis missed one. Monk missed one. I thought DeRozan missed one earlier as well. But 8 for 11 from the line in the fourth quarter. And that was a huge difference considering that the Timberwolves, besides Rudy Gobert, made their free throws. Anthony Edwards made all 4 of his free throws in the fourth quarter down the stretch, including those 2 game-winning ones with 2 seconds left. So this is just a heartbreaker for the Kings. I mean, going into the game, like even Nick, he threw it in the group chat that according to, it looked like ESPN, that it was like a 50-50. It was a flip. It was a coin flip. Like the Timberwolves had a 51% chance and the Kings had 49.9. Like it was that close of a game, that close of a toss-up. And it turned out to be exactly that, with the Timberwolves holding on for the victory. So congratulations to the Timberwolves for their first victory of the season. Moving on, let's go to the game that I honestly anticipated the most of opening week. And it was the two best teams in the Western Conference last season going at it. The Oklahoma City Thunder visiting the Denver Nuggets. And the Thunder in the second half really dominated the Nuggets in a defensive battle. The Thunder taking down the Nuggets 102-87. And it was led offensively, at least, by their two key star players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 28 points, 7 boards, 8 assists, was great on the defensive end as well. I believe had 3 blocks and 2 steals, numbers that Shai loves putting up as a point guard. And then his big man, Chet Holmgren, in a game where Jackson yesterday was saying, man, Jokic is about to feast on Chet Holmgren. Chet was awesome, had 25 points, 14 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. The defense was incredible. The Nuggets scored by far the lowest amount of points this season, scored by any team through the first couple games. Just 87 points. And the Thunder, they didn't have a great offensive game either, only 102 points, which is low. I mean, it's the third lowest point total so far of the season, incredibly enough. But the Thunder, they just look great on both ends of the floor. Like offensively, mentioned Shai, mentioned Chet Holmgren. Got to give a huge shout out to Aaron Wiggins off the bench. He was making plays, driving to the cup and scoring. He had 15 points off the bench. J-Dub didn't have a very good offensive game, 12 points, 5 of 16 shooting. But it didn't matter because their defense led them to this victory. When you look at the Denver Nuggets, they were never able to get comfortable or get consistent looks on the offensive end. The Nuggets shot 35% from the field, 7 for 39 from 3 for 18%. And even though best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, had a stellar stat line, had the first triple-double of the season for any player, had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 13 assists, it didn't look that great, honestly. It really didn't look that great. It didn't look as fluent as it has in years past. And that's because of this incredible Thunder defense. But you look across the board at the starting lineup, or at least the top players. Jamal Murray, 12 points, 4 for 14. Michael Porter, 15 points, 5 for 17, 3 for 10 from 3. Aaron Gordon, 12 points, 5 for 12 shooting. Then you go to the bench. The bench was atrocious. Russell Westbrook really didn't have a good game. 2 for 10 from the field, 6 points, did have 5 boards and 5 assists. He had some nice, coast-to-coast plays that we're used to seeing from Russell Westbrook, his whole career. But offensively, it was a real big struggle for the Nuggets. And only time will tell if this was because of the Thunder's amazing defense or if this is something that we kind of have to watch out for the Nuggets. I know that my boy Coach Cove is a little hesitant on the Nuggets this season, worried that they could be falling down a little bit in the standings, that this could maybe be the beginning of the end for this team. And time will tell if a performance like this was just because of the Thunder's great defense, or if it's, if this is going to be a problem for the Nuggets going forward this season. Regardless, though, the Thunder just played fantastic. And this was such an impressive win. I did not have the Thunder winning this game. I really like the Thunder. I have the Thunder actually winning the NBA Finals. They're my favorite to win it all this season. But for this first game, I did not think that in Denver they would come and get this victory. And Alex Caruso playing in his first game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Didn't matter that he didn't score. Was a plus 19, the highest plus minus. Thunder fans, you're gonna love Alex Caruso. I mean, he played for them in the D League in the time, the Oklahoma City Blue. But now playing for the Thunder, he's making those impact plays, man. But he had a quote a couple days ago that really stood out to me with this team, and it is perfect. The Thunder, they are, how did he say? I want to find the quote so I don't misquote him on that. But essentially it was that the Thunder, they are, they're joking around, off the court. They're having so much fun together. You see it even after the game. It was great to see, the Thunder squad up for the post-game interview on TNT. That was awesome. But, they're joking off the court, not really that serious off the court. But when they get on the court, they are serious. They are for real on both ends. They are nasty. No one in the league will ever want to play this team. They don't. This team is so good. This team is so good. And they're, because of their defense against a very talented offensive Nuggets team over the years past, the Thunder were able to really have their way on the road in Denver. This was an extremely impressive first victory of the season for this young Thunder team. So shout out to the Thunder for getting this huge victory. Moving on here to the Texas showdown between the Spurs and the Mavericks. And this was a pretty close first half, another defensive-minded battle through the first quarter and a half. But in the second half and in the fourth quarter, the Mavericks went on fire from downtown. They made 6 threes in the fourth quarter, led by Luka Doncic and new Maverick Klay Thompson. And the Mavericks were able to get the blowout victory, 120-109. First thing got to talk about in this game is Klay Thompson making his Mavericks debut, his first game not in a Golden State Warrior uniform. And you see there, he had 22 points, 7 boards, 3 steals, made 6 threes, which is a franchise record for the Mavericks, most 3-pointers in a debut. And it was really good to see. I got to be honest. Klay Thompson over the last season, the fans were really not on his side. They were really going against him because of certain performances, some inconsistencies. It really was a hard year for him last season, his final year in Golden State. Coming to Dallas, preseason wasn't that good either. But in this game, his first game, for him to play this well, shooting the 3, and also defensively, he looked really good, I must say. Klay Thompson looked really good defensively. And you could see in his post-game interview, he just looked really happy to be playing basketball and having fun. It didn't seem like he was having any fun at all with that last year. Even in his media availabilities last season, he never really seemed that happy. Even his open media day conferences with the Mavericks in the summer, his intro conference, and the media day conference, he didn't really seem all that happy. This post-game interview after his Mavericks debut where he hit 6 threes, he just looked so joyful. And just as a fan of Klay Thompson, I was super happy to see him happy. So good for Klay Thompson. Very happy for Klay to have that amazing of a debut. But across the board, Luka did his thing, 28 points, 10 boards, 8 assists. Not the most efficient game, but he puts up his numbers, man. He puts up his numbers and hit the 3 threes in the fourth quarter to really blow the game open. Kyrie Irving, just 15 points on 6 of 17 shooting, but still was pretty good at plus 15 on the game. Derek Lively off the bench. Just his second season, but man, if he continues his current progression, he is going to be one of the best bigs in the league. He's going to be one of the best bigs in the league because something that he has that a lot of bigs don't of his play style, which is, a lob threat in the pick and roll and a shot blocker. The ability for him to make plays in the short roll is huge. Now, there were a couple times where he got called for travels and offensive foul. That's still going to happen. He's still a super young player. This is the first game of his second season. But he is one of the best bigs in the league at making plays in the short roll. When Luka is getting trapped by 2 guys, Luka can just throw it over his head, and Lively takes a dribble, looks and sees what he has in the corner to see if there's an open 3-point shooter. If not, he's going to back you down and throw up a hook shot and get a good layup off. He knows what to do with the ball in his hands, and that's something that you don't really see out of a lot of bigs. Interested to see if he will end up starting down the line because they once again go to Gafford. Gafford and Lively both were in foul trouble at the end of this game. Gafford had 5 fouls, Lively 4 fouls. But Derek Lively, he just really impressed me. He had 6 assists in this game along with 15 points, 11 rebounds. Jaden Hardy had 11 points off the bench, which was good to see, hit 3 3-pointers. Just good, impressive performance by the Mavericks against a Spurs team who, it was a pretty odd game for them, I will say. Victor Wembanyama in game 1 of year number 2 for him didn't look the best, I will say. Only 5 of 18 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3. The Mavericks did a great job defending Wemby in the post, on his ISOs, making him take tough shots. He really didn't look that comfortable out there. Besides, he had one crazy layup where he just basically went through Lively and just scooped it up. But besides that, he was never really able to get it going. And one of the better players for the Spurs over the last few years, Keldon Johnson, didn't look that great off the bench either with just 7 points, 3 of 9 shooting. It was the other role players, honestly, that looked great for the Spurs. Julian Champagnie, who's not a household name by any means, but he was a main state starter for the Spurs last year, looked good last night. 18.7 boards, hit 4 threes. Harrison Barnes in his first game with the Spurs had 17.7 of 10 shooting. Jeremy Sohan had a good offensive game. He's a player that I'm interested to see where he kind of fits in the future of this franchise. But he had 18 points and 6 rebounds. And Chris Paul, his first game, 7 boards and 8 assists, only 3 points, but you could see the plays he was making. And even off the bench there, no crazy numbers off the bench, but their rookie, Stephon Castle, had 5 assists. He was able to rack up a couple points at the end of the game in garbage time. But, the Spurs, this is just going to be a good season for them, regardless of if they get the wins or, the lack of wins on their record. I think that all their young players are going to get better just because of the progression and the veterans that they have brought in. Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul being there did make them better, at least on the offensive end. Defensively, there were some struggles. The plus minuses don't look good at all in the starting lineup, especially. But they were just playing very well. They were playing very, very well, especially in the first half. Once Wemby gets going, we'll see if those other guys like Barnes, Sohan, Champagnie can still play well. Of course, there was no Devin Vassell in this game either. He's out for a little bit to begin the season. But Spurs they have a decent amount of talent, man. I don't think that they're going to do much this season, but they do have the pieces where they definitely should improve. So that is always exciting. And Wemby, this will be one of his worst games of the season. He'll come back. He'll come back better after this. So, congrats to the Mavs for the victory, for their first one of the season. And again, Klay Thompson, just happy to see him playing so loosely and so freely. And then the first game of the night, won't go into this too much. It was the Celtics facing off against the Wizards, and the Celtics defeated the Wizards by 20. It was a pool party for the first quarter. Jordan Poole had 17 in the first quarter for the Wizards, 17 of his 26. Wizards had a lead. Then the Celtics did their thing. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were amazing in the first half. Just seems like they are already on their revenge tour. Of course, this against the Washington Wizards. It's not really fair to judge anyone off of this game, but another game where hit a lot of threes, 17 of 45 from 3. Pritchard hit 5 threes off the bench, 5 of 10. Derek White, 19 points. Just a good game all around for them. And then the Wizards, they got 18 points from Jonas Valanciunas. Kuzma only had 12 points. Their rookies came in. Alex Sarr, 2 points, 5 rebounds. Him shooting 5 of 7 threes is not the most ideal, but those were the shots that the Celtics were giving up to him, were 3-point shots. So definitely a tough opponent to go up against in your first game if you're Alex Sarr and even Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George. I do like, though, that they are starting Bub Carrington right off the bat. He did not have a good game, but him getting thrown into the fire immediately should help him out in the long run. He's going to get a lot of reps this season for a Wizards team that doesn't have a whole lot to play for besides ping pong balls in the lottery. So Celtics off to a 2-0 start this season. So those are all 4 of the games for last night. Again, leave a comment with your thoughts on all of these games. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are going to go over the player of the night for tonight. So stay tuned after this break. All right, now let's get into the MVP of the night. So far, if you're keeping track at home, on Tuesday, opening night, we gave it to a big man, Anthony Davis from the Lakers, for his incredible performance against the Timberwolves. Last night, we gave it to LaMelo Ball for his game against the Houston Rockets. Now, who will it be tonight? There were a decent amount of candidates. That Timberwolves-Kings game had so many players that put up a lot of numbers. Randall and Edwards both played great. All those Kings players played very well. Luka for the Mavs put up nearly a triple-double. But in the end, I did go to this Thunder Nuggets game, and the player of the night to me for his performance on both ends of the floor was Chet Holmgren with 25 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. 11 for 13 on 2-point shots. Didn't really get his jump shot falling from downtown. But again, as I talked about earlier, his defense was fantastic in this game. His post defense, his pick and roll defense, getting those 4 blocks and then turning them into baskets. And then also the rebounding. I mean, 14 rebounds for Chet Holmgren, 4 on the offensive end. I mean, this guy, this is the first game of his second year. This is crazy how good he could be. Already getting the player of the night 3 days in. So shout out to Chet Holmgren. Again, congrats to the Thunder on the victory. Now, before we get out of here, let's take a look at Friday's schedule here tonight. First, we'll take a look at the national games, as we always do, starting up at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. It is a playoff rematch of the second round between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. This should certainly be a high-intensity game at a Madison Square Garden for the Knicks' home debut, especially coming off of that horrendous blowout loss to Boston on opening night. Pacers coming off of a victory, but this will be their first real test of the season. And then the nightcap at 10 p.m., it is the battle between two of the greatest players of this generation. Kevin Durant and LeBron James battling for the first time in the regular season as the Phoenix Suns stay in LA. They just played the Clippers on Wednesday, but now they will go to the Crypto.com arena to face LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, who are coming off of a nice win against the Timberwolves. That one again at 10 p.m. on ESPN. Both of those teams 1-0 on the young season. And always nice to see Durant and LeBron play. I cannot wait to watch that matchup because we only have so more of those games left, man. Only so many more of those games left. And like I said, I mean, those are probably the two best players. I mean, the Durant versus Curry battle is always a good one. But, LeBron and Durant being the two best small forwards of this era for sure. Always have been up there as far as best player in the world for 1 and 2 for a good decade or so. So it's always great to see those two go at it. Can't wait to see that. Now, looking at the League Pass schedule for tonight, 8 games going on. Let's see anything that stands out. We got the Sixers and Raptors. We'll see if I don't think Paul George is gonna be available for that one either. Pistons and Cavaliers. JB Bickerstaff making his return to Cleveland for the first time as a visiting head coach since being fired there. Hornets Hawks should be a low-key fun game with LaMelo and Trae Young battling it out. Those two teams who could be battling for the same play-in spots in the Eastern Conference. Grizzlies Rockets would be my game to watch there at 8 p.m. Those two teams going at it. The Rockets, they'll want to bounce back after their tough loss to those Hornets. But let me know what game you're looking forward to the most. We will go over them all tomorrow. We will go over all of them tomorrow for the recap. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, check out the full podcast video where all 4 of us are here talking about all of these teams playing their first game or two. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.